Let me just do a recap of what we have discussed thus far. So, this is a leadership meeting for Harmony Springs Church on the 10th of June. We've been discussing our building project and updates so far. We've been communicating with Church Extension, a denominational arm of which we're borrowing some money to finish our project. We won't be doing that until the end of our project. And they've reviewed our building contract, given us some feedback on some good feedback on having a project manager and architect and the checks and balances that allows us to have, which in their opinion is a good thing. So that's positive for us. They are going to send out our representative, Craig, to come out when our project is about at the putting up drywall phase. So he's going to come out in person, take a look at our project to stay in touch with us at that point. And we were discussing asking Weaver, our builder, about some recommendations they might have on working with churches in these projects, experience they might have had on the best ways to go about the daily decision making that may need to happen during the building project. If we have 2 or 3 of us possibly who could communicate with them on a daily basis when decisions need to be made, and then continuing our leadership meetings like this on a bi-weekly basis throughout the project. We also discussed that the construction timeline that the project manager assigned to us gave to us has us hopefully it has a range of a best case scenario, and if things happen, a worst case scenario of construction completion. And the worst case scenario, absolute latest, would be April of 2021. The first Sunday of 2021 in April is Easter. So the absolute latest that the building would be done and we'd be able to be in the building to start having church, coronavirus aside, would be that first Sunday in April or the beginning of April. It is altogether possible we may be in the building before that, but that's just if a whole bunch of stuff happens that no one was expecting, and we have to deal with all of that, and it makes things go longer. That's what we'd be shooting for. So we're hoping for the best, but working with that timeline at this point. So we plan on Weaver plans on starting in the next couple weeks. And they're going to start with our construction driveway and parking lot, which will probably be dirt at first and then maybe gravel. It won't be the finished asphalt. We discussed that a little bit. And we have some actual physical progress. Dan and Jen today went out to the property and actually put up our Harmony Springs Church coming soon sign. So you can drive down Arlington Road now and see those signs on our property. And Jen actually held up a picture for us, which she has on her cell phone. So if you don't or aren't driving down, you can see her picture right there on the cell phone. So
there's the photo. There's the picture.
Perfect.
So speaking of that, I don't know if anyone did, just from a community kind of niceness perspective, do we want to put anything, or do you guys want me to, as in I can, just so everybody can see my view, right? That I'll be able to see the church from here.
Yeah.
Reach out to the neighbors to kind of let them know that we're starting construction.
Yeah, that's a great idea. What are your thoughts on that, Kanetta?
Either way, I can either, attempt to try to go this.
Oh, you froze for a minute, Kanetta. You'll be back. Oh, the joys of virtual meeting. Oh, while she's off, how great is it that we have Kanetta as a trustee who lives in the neighborhood? Oh, she's back. All right. What are your thoughts, Kanetta?
Yes.
You froze.
So, yeah, sorry. For some reason, I keep dropping connection. I was going to say, with the virus, it might seem a little awkward to go door to door. People might be a little freaked out by that. But I'm open to, if we had like some way to do something and maybe put like a little something like, hey, neighbors, we know we're going to be doing something in your backyard. We appreciate the patience. Welcome. We will hope you welcome us to the neighborhood, something like that. So eliminate any potential complaints of concerns, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I had previously put a flyer together when we thought we were going to be going in last spring, a year ago. And that was part of the winter solstice bonfire that we did. I also made sure that people who were local knew that we were doing a bonfire so they wouldn't get nervous about there being a fire in the middle of the field. But if Joel would agree, then you and I can work together on putting something together with the logo, at the top of a page, and either a full page flyer we can just fold up, or a half page, cardboard if we want to make it fancier, and put something on everybody who is, attached to that property. There's really only 5 houses that are directly nearby, but maybe we want to go up to 7 or 10,
Yep.
and the folks across their street.
What about a door hanger? Yeah.
That would be a good idea too, I think.
Are they going to make an official flyer for the church that can be passed out to like the community green? Like a 3 fold out brochure or something like that, that would have the church and everything. It wouldn't be dedicated to this neighborhood, but olive green.
Yeah, John, that's I have that a little bit further down on the agenda, but that was one thing I was thinking about since you brought that up the other week, that I think we should have a group of people who maybe could brainstorm some of the marketing discussions we had when we thought we were going to start before. We were more urgently dealing with it before when we thought we were going to start, and then things got kind of put on the back burner when we knew we weren't. But I think we should revisit that for sure.
I was thinking, some of these universities, just to get somebody's foot in the door, they'll have like Ashland, they'll have like a folder, like a 3-page thing. You open it up and it shows Ashland University and some of their courses. Maybe a design, something like that would give their nice color brochures, and it's something eye catching is always good for the eye and get people involved. So.
The coronavirus throws an interesting, I don't know, I don't want to say wrench because it just is, it's maybe good for us. I don't know, but I was thinking that, if we did a door hanger or something like that, it's almost easier for people now if we were saying we're building a church and we're meeting online at 10:30 or watch our service on on YouTube, like, it's a lot easier for people to just go on and get a sense of what our church is like without actually showing up like they would have had to before. So I don't know, maybe we can figure out some way to word it like that. Oh, lady.
That's actually a good point too. Jen, when we do for those few houses that are attached, we have a Spring Hill Facebook group. I can work with, we can work with Maggie. Maggie is actually the communications person for our development. So we could work with her.
Yeah, she'd be a great help.
Yeah. Well,
so for anybody who's curious, Maggie is one of the friends of, Nathan's friend is her son, and they're one of the ones who live at the top of the hill, behind our property. So she'd be a good contact. Yeah.
We should definitely make an effort to bring her into the loop then, just to make sure she knows or is in regular updates on what's going on with our property, so that, if people are asking questions and direct it to her, she can give some answer, and we cut down on any confusion or
she's the HOA secretary.
Okay.
So she does all the communications for the HOA.
Maggie currently does know our timeline.
Okay.
Maggie and I are friends.
Yeah.
And so, we've had some conversations in the past few months. So she knows, she has an idea anyway, a close idea. But I agree with keeping her in the loop tightly about the timeline so she can always know exactly what's going on when she does field some questions that'll probably come by.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jennifer, you're willing to take that on and work with Kinetta to get that made and distributed. I think that's great.
Yep, we'll definitely do that, and we'll coordinate who's going to talk to Maggie and make sure Maggie's in on it. And I don't know, maybe we'll do a social distancing wine around the fire instead. So
There you go.
we'll let you know what we chose.
All right. All right. I think that's sort of the list that I had in my mind. I'm sure that on a daily basis, there's other little things that happen with the building, but those were the big things. Does I sort of cover our progress, Chuck, as far as you can think through?
Yes, I think we're good.
Okay. There's some other stuff associated with the building, but I'll hit those down towards the end here, conversation maybe, and some work we can do, but maybe not a discussion for tonight, but some things we can break off into some teams and work on. But one thing I wanted to try to hit on was just a little bit more of a discussion tonight on, I don't know how you all feel, but I feel like maybe we're about to round a corner to the recommendation being from to move the needle a little bit from the 10-person to the possibility of a few more people gathering that might give us the wiggle room to be able to have an in-person gathering of the church. Because the Health and Wellness Center room got eliminated on our behalf or for us because they're doing the coronavirus testing there, we don't really have that as an option. But I was starting to just think about a rough plan. We can't really do anything yet because we don't really know, but I was just trying to put together a rough plan in my mind of how we might start to proceed if that begins to happen. I know from being on the Green Task Force that the city is talking about, they're trying to figure out how to open up playgrounds and that kind of thing. And Jen and I were talking about how the ability to reserve pavilions and that kind of thing probably isn't far beyond that, maybe in July around the corner. So that might be a possibility for us. I've read about some churches that have tried or are looking at trying to do, monthly over the summer or when weather is nice, just setting dates for some sort of gathering like that in an outdoor park situation, just to try to follow whatever recommendations we can as best we can. So I don't know. So I guess what I'm thinking is, I was wondering, first of all, if we had what you all thought about the possibility of just giving people the chance or opportunity to gather maybe in some capacity at people's homes on back porches or patios and sort of social kind of thing, and or to go through the book that I'm going to be starting this next series on. I'm not 100% sold on that, but if people want to, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I also just want to try to be, I don't know, as safe as possible. And then whenever we have the opportunity to actually make a reservation at a park like East Liberty or something, to use that to gather in some way for even a church service on a Sunday morning or something along those lines. Do you all have thoughts on that? Or I guess I'm just putting that out there as a rough plan, and then we can maybe just discuss it here for a few minutes and figure out what our thoughts are.
So I think I go through this a lot with work, and I'm sure other people are going through this a lot too, right? I have a lot of people that I deal with personally in my staff, and there's different varying opinions on this, but I think this is going to be one of those things where we have to really kind of go to the congregation and see what their feel is. I think we can make offerings, but it's really going to be a person to person. Everybody's in a different situation. I know that we have many people within the congregation that have health concerns, so
Right.
They're going to probably be a little bit more concerned about exposing themselves. And then there's other people that have younger, maybe are in a situation where health concerns aren't, or exposure to people are not as big a risk, right? So they're more willing to be open to that kind of thing. I think you would gear the events to the people that are more willing, right? Obviously, if you have an older set of people who are willing to do it, they're going to have a different expectation of what a gathering is going to be versus a younger crowd of people that are willing to get together. So I personally, my thought, and this is just Canada's, is should we poll the congregation, maybe have like a chat poll or something like that, to say who's open to the idea, and then build the ideas of what kind of events based on who's interested.
Yeah, the thing I'm really playing with is, or having to struggle with, is that the shift that's really happened is the governor was making decisions for all of us, and now as things open up, we're all having to make decisions as best we can with the information we have, depending on our own situation, which is how life is just in general about everything else in life before this, right? So, yeah, I guess we haven't had a lot of pressure. I haven't felt as a pastor a lot of pressure from the church at this point to have in-person gathering like maybe a lot of existing churches with their own buildings have, or that I've been hearing about, just because we don't have a building, and Akron General sort of made that decision for us. So from a leadership perspective, I guess that takes some pressure off of our shoulders. But I also don't want to just sort of sit on our laurels and not give people the chance to meet in person if they want to, because, you know, again, some people are more social than others, and some people need that and others don't. So I don't know. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Other thoughts?
I believe the playgrounds are open, so maybe the reservations are right around the corner.
Yeah. And if that's the case, we could start with that. And when we're all, you know, I guess I'm just thinking too that when we are in person, I don't want to then start immediately leaving out people who choose not to be there. Because even if we can make a reservation at a park, there's going to be a number of people who still want to just, you know, be at home as long as they can during this. And we may be in waves here too. You gonna meet Angela? Yeah. Okay. So I think we may, if we're in person at a park, we may still have to figure out how to, you know, stream it or go.
Hi.
Jubilee saying hi to everybody. Were you outside? You're sweaty.
Yeah. I'm doing lots of backflips.
Oh my, on the trampoline?
Yeah, 10 really front flips. I like to call them backflips. It's just really hard to do. It's
Yeah.
like really hard to learn because all those other times I thought I could do it, but actually I just been doing backflips. I'm good at front flips.
So anyhow, that's the sort of writing on the wall that I see, is even when we do meet in person, I want to be, we've always been an inclusive church, but I want to be inclusive of the people who are choosing to stay home or have to stay home. So I think we'll want to try to include them virtually as much as possible by trying to find some way to stream it, Facebook, you know, YouTube Live. I don't know. We'll try to have to figure out something along those lines.
Yeah, I agree. Great idea, Greg. Greg posted a great idea in chat, Joel, which was basically where I was going earlier.
Yes. Survey Monkey. Yeah. Yeah, we could see what interest we have. That's a good point, just to see, to say if we had, you know, some small gatherings of 10 or less people at some homes, would you be interested in doing it? If the congregation answers the question and says they don't want to do it, then that answers our question, I guess. And if they do, then we could figure out how to put that together for those who do, I guess. So, yeah, that's a good point.
I've been doing front flips too.
All right.
Daddy?
Okay. Well, if it's okay with you, I'll kind of continue down that line of thinking. I think that sort of makes the most sense in my own mind, to try to, I don't know, be as safe and just with what information we have. I know information still keeps coming out, but I don't want to get ourselves in trouble either and start doing, getting too crazy with it. Okay. Then the other thing I thought, and we don't necessarily have to figure this all out tonight, but it seems that at staff meeting and some other conversations that with the building project starting, we're starting to revisit a lot more of the conversations we were having around when we were doing the capital campaign and marketing around the building, launching the building. We have a timeline now. So I almost am thinking that our best maybe method about going about that is to try to, I don't know, divvy ourselves up into some teams of sorts of things, projects we could take on. Projects we could take on or are interested in doing. The governor has a good model for this, I guess. Maybe putting together some working groups and maybe meeting virtually with 3 or 4 of us like this, and then starting to just come back to the group with some recommendations on things. Because I think if we tried to tackle all of that with all of us in these meetings, we'd be here for hours and hours when I started listing all the stuff out that we're talking about. And I listed some of, the mess of things that really I think are important things for us to talk about and or try to make recommendations. The whole wedding event center, venue, building use, policy, campaign that Cheryl had. I mean, all that is kind of lumped together in my mind. We could have a group of people working on trying to put that together. We've also been discussing trying to bring back an update about the capital campaign, where we are, keep the congregation updated on where we are on that. And we've had some conversations lately on the time capsule, where that is in the building. We need to kind of revisit that. And then what Harmony Springs wants to add on top of what High Street had in there, going through what's in there from High Street, figuring out what should stay in there. And then any sort of building sort of events that are around the completion of the building, like the groundbreaking or ideas we have about the drone flyover, updates about the building. And then to play on the conversation we started to have, John's idea about marketing, any sort of marketing we can do. I've thought about some video production, putting little short videos together about who the church is, to give people a sense as the building is going up and we're potentially launching services down the road, give or take coronavirus, about who we are as a church and inviting people to be a part of us. The brochures John was talking about, mailings. Like when I start listing all this stuff out, my mind just goes like, holy cow, there is a lot of work. And now that I know the timeline and what it looks like, I think I'm starting to freak out a little bit with all of that, going. And then we've also been brainstorming a concurrent project, which we've just sort of deemed Harmony Rising, which is sort of a title for our mission mission monies that we approved last fall, and some sort of just pop-up community projects that we thought we could try our best to engage in during coronavirus, as hard as that sometimes is, so that we sort of make a splash in the community to build awareness of the fact that we're a church that does see as a central part of our mission being deeply involved with the community and caring about the community. So we've discussed, trying to put together a plan for that as well, which Jen does a lot of already, but some of the stuff we did last year with the city has been canceled because of coronavirus. So we may have to spend some time brainstorming ways that we can go about it. I just saw, Jen, your video, the time-lapse video you did of the planting at East Liberty. And I thought that's a great example, though, of, a video we can post on YouTube that shows people from the church going out there and planting plants, contributing to, beautifying the city and a park at the city. So that could definitely be sort of along the lines of, I guess, what I was thinking about with that project for sure.
Hi, Daddy.
I did just try to upload that video to YouTube, by the way, and I think it is on there now, but I didn't have a whole lot of time I may have to go through and sort of edit the description of it and that kind of thing, but I did throw it up there at least. So it is up there.
Very good. I actually just posted the link in our chat here as well.
Oh, great. There you go. that was a great use of that with the camera. So thanks. That was a great idea.
Dan's been a little bit nuts. Every time I turn around, it's up in my backyard and the camera's going, and he's trying it out, and he's kind of checking different angles, different lighting, different, how many minutes, how often do you want to take a photo, and what does it then look like at the end of a day? I haven't looked yet, but I did notice it sitting up on the fence when we had a birthday party in the backyard for my sister a couple days ago. Kids running in and out of the pool. That might be an interesting moment to see.
It's a cool toy, so I'm glad he's putting it to use. And any ideas he has for how we can use that to produce content that we can post for the church during this pandemic is great. So, yeah. So I guess what I was thinking was, if in that email that I sent out, there may be other areas that we can kind of group together too that I'm missing. That was just my brainstorm this afternoon. That you think are important. If there are, send me an email. If you look at that list and there's certain things that you have interest in or think you have some contribution that you could make towards, maybe send me an email back and say, I could be a part of this team, that kind of thing. And I'd love to see us all be on maybe one of those, at least one of those teams doing something. The timeline on all those teams, they don't have to be existent like forever, or a lot of them could kind of do their work, make recommendations, and then take a break for a while, and then come back as needed. So it's not like you're committing yourself to something forever. And it doesn't also have to be just us. If you're reading that, my groupings there, and you think there's certain people in the church that have some abilities that would be really great to be in conversation with us about that stuff, then send me an email about that too. And I don't know, I'll try to see if I can form some groups of teams that we can kind of put together a bit of a plan and timeline for us figuring all that out. Does that seem like a good strategy? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to organize ourselves to get all that stuff done so we don't let anything fall through the cracks and miss the opportunity we have here.
That makes sense.
All right, I'm looking for our business people to tell me, hey, yeah, that's a good plan. Kanetta and Greg on the bottom of my screen down there.
So for whatever reason, I lost audio, so I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I was just going to wonder, do we have a shared document location? Like, could we start up like a document that had kind of like committee ideas and people interested in the committee, that we could kind of do something like that where we could add to it?
Yeah, I was actually kind of thinking about, we use Google Docs for other stuff. I was thinking about doing that just in general with a lot of things, because it seems like we have a lot of lists going for different things lately. So maybe I could just kind of create a central hub of that somehow, unless you have a recommendation for a different mode of doing that that's better than Google Docs. But the church uses Google for all of our email and all that stuff, so it's sort of integrated.
Yeah, no, Google Docs fine. Just throw up a spreadsheet and say, here's the committee, here's the concept for the committee, and then who's interested. And then if somebody has an idea for like, okay, well, this is getting this is too much, right? Like we should split this off.
Yeah.
Or hey, here's another idea, where there's like 15 people interested, maybe you could break a committee up into.
Right. Yeah.
And the other thing would be too, do we have to limit the people interested to just the leadership team, or can we open it up to the congregation to support?
Yeah, no, your audio went out when I was saying that. I was saying if you all have ideas on people in the church, or we're the kind of church that taps people outside the church too. So if you have other people in the church, anybody really. So yes, the answer to that is yes. If anybody that's willing to contribute. And from time to time too, we've brought people in from outside the church that on a we sort of approach it like a consulting, like, say, here's what we're working on. Will you come in and consult with us for a little while? And we get your expertise on this. That has been very helpful for us from time to time too. So if anybody has any connections like that, totally, I would be totally open to that conversation as well. All right. Well, send me an email back if any your thoughts on all of that if you want, and then I'll try to compile all that and get it sent out here by the end of the week and see if we can put together sort of a plan with those Google Docs and links and all that, and we can get started on that to hopefully have our check-in then on that during the next leadership meeting. And I'm looking when the date of that will be because, yeah, the 24th. So I'll check in too with Weaver to see what will be happening with construction by then and see if they may want to come in and chat with us during that meeting on the 24th. So the next meeting would be the 24th at 6:15, if that works for everybody. All right. Very good. Very good. Anything else? Thank you all. I appreciate it.
All right, good luck with.
Go ahead.
Good luck. Good luck with the kids.
Yes, I know. Say a prayer for me. Say a prayer for your pastor as you sign off.
Everybody take care. It's good seeing you.
All right. You
All right,
too.
good night,
Have a good
everyone.
evening, everybody.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah.